just visit the checkout. The code runs. Even I did not push the bad link since it's stored. It's stored in my browser. That's dangerous because this one did now run as administrator. Hi again, I'm Emil, a Swedish hacker, and yesterday it was known or publicly disclosed that the Woocommerce is vulnerable to some serious vulnerabilities. It was not known what kind of vulnerability, but I think everybody that registered their email got an email that said to update immediately. So I thought I could shed some light on this, tell you how it works, and how to make sure you're not affected by this. So let's dive in and see how it works. Let's start by doing a patch diff with a patch differ tool. It works like this. You put the original software and the patched software, and the patch differ tells you what's the difference. So that's the original. That's the patch. Woocommerce has a lot of files, so it takes a while for the patch differ to do this, but it says that 36 files is modified and 0 files are added. Let's skip the mix directory and go straight to the patch. Let's check it out. We have 2 commits. One is the original and one is the patch. We can view them side by side like this. Let's start with checking out the README file. We can see they have changed versions. And if we scroll down, we can see in the change log, it says there is a security related change to prevent HTML and JavaScript injection on the registration and checkout forms when order attribution is enabled. So first we must make sure order attribution is enabled, and this is actually enabled by default. So if you did not turn this off, it is actually enabled. The checkout is only vulnerable if you're using the classic checkout. However, the registration form is always vulnerable. So if we take a look at this, it says it's the order attribution is enabled. It is enabled by default, and the script here is actually called order attribution. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at the patch diff. We can see they have changed JavaScript that is responsible for inputting attributions, order attributions. It's a tracking method. So I think you can track like campaigns or from where you got the client or the customer with this kind of JavaScript, and it takes every field in the field name, and it creates an input for every field that is hidden for the user, but it is present. And when I looked at this the first time I did this, I first tried to send this data to the server to get some kind of stored cross-site scripting, but I never succeeded. And then I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I was like, yeah, let's try reflected cross-site scripting. And it turns out I can do reflected cross-site scripting here. So I can set these parameters from the URL parameters, and they will be included on the site, which means we can execute JavaScript as whoever is visiting the site. And as the bad actor, we hope that the one visiting the site is an administrator. We can also store the JavaScript in the administration cookie, in the administrator's cookie, so it will be executed later on. If they are not logged in as administrator the first time they push the link, it doesn't matter because we will store it in a cookie. So whenever they log in as administrator, we can have it executed then. So I guess it's kind of stored, but it's stored in the administrator's browser. It's not stored on the server. Let's take a look at how this works in the application. I have it installed on my local host. I have Woocommerce installed. I have one product. And the registration page is only visible if I log out. So when I'm logged out and I push my account here, I get the registration form. This form is vulnerable. Also, if I do shopping, if I add to cart and I go to the checkout, this checkout form is also vulnerable. Yeah, let's show the so if we take a look at the source code here, and we push elements, can I do this? Yes. We should be able to search for attribution like this. So here are the attribution inputs that was created by this script. So it's input, it's type hidden. This is the attribution name, it's hidden. This is the attribution name, and then it has a value. So if I set the value for something like this one, I can set it like this. You see, it will end up here. However, it will not end up in this source code. The JavaScript does run and inserts more inputs to the DOM, so it needs to be rendered, which means I can't put the JavaScript tag, but I can have this one to run JavaScript anyway. And I'll show you how. If we can craft a bad link that says UTM source, let's use hello. Let's close it. We now close it. We are now providing this tag. We are adding a space and we say close this one as well. And then we open a new tag. Let's open a div. Style. Let's do position. Absolute. Let's make it full screen. Like that. And let's make it red so it's easy to see. Like this. And let's make it on, mouse, over, alert, JavaScript. I think we can close it and we can start an HTML comment like this. Let's copy it if I need it. now. So if I now in the logged out state push a bad link that we just crafted like this, I end up here and my cross-site scripting does run. So this script is now run as the user I'm logged in at. And since I was not logged in, this script does not have any privilege. Okay, like this. However, this is now stored. If I open this and I check the application cookies, this one, I can now see that this value is stored here. So even if I log out or if I go back, if I go to the index page, this page is not vulnerable to this. If I go here and I log in, and I go back and I now just visit the checkout, the code runs. Even I did not push the bad link since it's stored. It's stored in my browser. That's dangerous because this one did now run as administrator. And that means in WordPress, this like 99% of the times it means remote code execution and full server takeover. And to prevent this from happening, you can either go here, Woocommerce, settings, advanced, features, and you can turn off order attribution. If you turn this off, you're no longer vulnerable. You could also make sure that customers are not allowed to register themselves. That way you can turn this off. If you also not using the classic checkout. If we take a look at this, we have a checkout that says Woocommerce checkout. This is the classic checkout and it is vulnerable. And the attacker only needs one of these present on the site to exploit this. So I think the best way is to actually patch it. I think that was all for today. Happy hacking!